my time as a counselor. And there's this one thing that is a constant in all of those when it comes to marriage counseling and it comes to intimacy. For some reason, intimacy gets weaponized in a relationship.
It's usually us weaponizing it.
Yeah, I will slowly creep into the person with the finger on the trigger. But yet rarely do I see a man withholding sex
For real.
because he's upset or he wants to make a point. But when it comes to the ladies, the female, my opposites, why do women have such an issue with intimacy in their partners? Why do they use it? Why do they weaponize it? Why do they cause this kind of problem?
So I would say, and this is even like from my experiences, like when I have weaponized it, it is to hurt you.
So you've done it.
Yes.
So it is.
It is. I know that is something specifically as a man, like you need, like your men need intimacy sex on a different level than what women do.
It's cruel and unusual punishment. You're telling me you want me to live in a monogamous relationship. You want me to only want you. But you can turn me down on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's the control.
And I got to be okay with it.
You do. Yeah, and we would dare
that makes sense.
To step out. Right?
Right.
In the midst of all of that, I'm not giving it to you, but you bet not, step out. It's retarded. It doesn't make any bit of sense.
I know. It's just like,
and we do it so easily and readily.
Okay, so once again, and I'm going to use certain scenarios, of course, redacting names for the innocent.
Right.
But so I know a person who was in a long-term relationship, hadn't had sex with their partner for over a year and a half. A year and a half. And you know what the funny part is? The man was still trying to work the relationship. It was the woman who was like, I don't care if you come or go. Like, I ain't gonna divorce you, but I don't care if you come or go.
Okay.
I'll stay in this thing just the way I am, and I'm fine. I don't care if you come or go.
I've been there.
That to me is the highest level of hurt, of pain someone can cause. To have someone who loves you, and you know they love you, and you hold on to them while they're in pain because it benefits you, or because you don't care about them.
But I'm not sure that's the reason, though.
Okay, help me.
I think that is what we may say, like you're saying in this scenario, the woman was like, I don't care if you come or go. That ain't true. In most instances, they do care because let you stay a week. Oh, wait. Then they got questions. You apparently care then.
True.
I think we are just really in a hurt place, and hurt people hurt people.
So, okay, I get you. Okay, I hear you. This hurt place. But help me understand where the hurt is coming from, because I've seen good men. This happened to good men. Men who are faithful. Men who try to do their best. Of course, they're not perfect. Of course, but sometimes I feel like any reason is a good reason. And okay, forgive me for how I said, but any reason is a good reason for a woman to withhold sex.
I can understand that's how it feels. Yeah.
Clothes on the floor.
Right.
I don't feel like giving you none.
Right.
You've been working all day, but I've been with the kids. I ain't giving you none. Or, you always want it. Or you think I'm an object. I've seen women get mad at a man because he wants them all the time.
Well, that's wild.
Right, like I am so attracted to you. I think you're so sexy.
Right.
Oh, you just want me from my body.
But I refuse to cheat on you. I just want you.
I
Just
just
you.
want you.
Yeah.
I like you.
That's
Why would you want to hurt or hinder someone that just wants to be around you?
Yeah, that to me sounds like a whole bunch of damage on that lady part. Like she got to figure out what's she doing here, because who hurt you, boo? Like if you don't realize that this is a man who don't have to be here, but is choosing to be here and then be here with you and endure this mess and still only want to be here with you, and you're questioning why you want to only be here with me.
I got a theory on this.
Ugh.
Let me tell you my theory. Rock with me on this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Society has told women their body is their moneymaker.
The currency.
Their currency. Your value is your body. So what will happen is, I know I need to attract a man, so I'm gonna act like you have somebody who is, highly sexual or ready to please their man, excited about being with you. You know what I mean? And you will play that game in the beginning while you're dating. It's like in a dating process. Man, it's like, man, if every man I know is like, man, if they gave it to me like they did when we were dating, I'd be okay.
Right.
And so in that dating process, you have, a woman is doing everything possible to send a message that, hey, I'm into you, I'm digging you, I want to be with you. I think what happens is once you get that, kind of like how men, once they get what they're looking for, reality starts to set in. And now, but here's the reality. The reality is, I don't really like sex. Or I don't really like intimacy. I don't like feeling used. Like I've been training myself all the time that this is the only way I got this man. And 9 times out of 10, yes, you may have attracted that man with your body, but you didn't keep him with your body. But you are now, this is just a theory now, you are now in your mind thinking, this is how I got him.
Right.
This is how I got him. Matter of fact, you're your worst enemy, because now you feel like you tricked him. And now you got to keep up this trick. And how long can you keep it up? Because I know one of the biggest worries is, what happens when my body goes away? What happens when I have a kid?
Yeah.
What happens when this happens? What happens? Are you going to still? There's that insecurity. So now that you're in a relationship and this man is like, okay, you're the only one I'm going to be with. I'm settled with that. That means that your body is mine now. And then they go and they're like, hey, come on, let's play. I want to. And now in your head, you're all in the back of your head, you're like, see, you think this is all I bring to the table. So
that's interesting. Something that you just said, your body is mine now. Yes. I think that right there is what women don't subscribe to any longer. So I think like back in our grandparents' days and stuff, and even before them, they understood that like once that union happens, like your body as a woman, it does become, that man's for that pleasure. Like I remember hearing the old ladies talk about, you don't ever turn your husband down. You never do. You're not in the mood. You lay there.
And see, we don't like that either. Time out. We don't like that. I hear you, but I appreciate that you're down for the struggle.
Yeah.
Now I get that concept, but I don't want to look in my partner's eyes and see them just going through the motions. If you're not enjoying it like me, I really don't want
pick a struggle. So you can't complain if I'm not in the mood and I don't give it up, but then complain when I'm not in the mood but I do give it up.
So here's the thing. I want you to want me as much as I want you.
But that's never going to happen.
Look, men can't have sex unless we're aroused.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, it just isn't going to happen. So you got to understand, God had to put something in us to make us want you anytime, all the time, most of the time, and so forth. Because imagine you think about men who deal with ED, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how difficult it is. That is the one time the tables get switched. I've never seen a woman complain until they man get ED.
Right.
I never seen one. I've seen women like, I don't give it too much. I don't give it to her.
Yeah.
Susie get ED. I can't get it enough. At least 3 times, 4 times a week. Well, I can't do 1 time a week. Like, are you serious?
But I just think it's like a cruel joke that the Most High plays on us, on men and women. I really do. I really do. Because like even when we consider like adolescence, right? So boys, they reach their sexual peaks at 18, 16, 19, some stupid young.
They start early, for sure.
We are not there. We reach ours at like 50.
30, 40, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it's always this.
Because something happens at 50.
Like you just said, right. Like you just said, the Most High put something in you all that you all can't even get aroused, or whatever it was that you just said. He ain't put it in us.
Right.
So it's always like this with men and women. It is never here.
So we got to figure it out. We have to ignore what society uses to sell stuff and what they've been lying. Like, you should not get married unless you're mature enough to understand intimacy. Because if your intimacy is based on what you saw on TV, TikTok, and the internet, the vast majority is. You are in for a rude awakening because that's not what it really is.
Correct.
And if you don't know how to get in tune with your partner and you don't know how to really love your partner and your partner loves you, you're setting yourself up for failure.
So when you say, in connecting this back to the women weaponizing, when you say if you don't know how to love your partner, as a woman, and a woman who is not going to always feel intimate and feel like being intimate at the moments that you do, what does knowing how to love your partner look like if you don't want your partner, you as a man don't want your woman to just give it to you?
Let me tell you how simple it is.
Okay.
Tell us how to get you excited. Tell us how to turn you on. No, you'd be amazed at how many women just think we supposed to know how to do it osmotically.
I understand maybe on a physical level, but I think that's what's missing with it's a miscommunication. Like, what turns us on is everything outside of the physical.
Right, but help us. Talk to us. Tell us, don't just hold things. See, women a lot of times hold stuff in. They having a whole conversation in their head. They're mad and bitter with you. You're coming home thinking you've done it because you worked all day and you made some extra money and you think that, oh man, we're going to be able to pay this bill later. I've done it. And then when you turn to your woman, she's looking disappointed. And you don't even know why unless you become a brain.
Oh my gosh, I feel like this is so unfair. Because what I know as a woman and what I know from many women is that we have told you guys several times, right? What it is that we want, what it is that we need, how we want it, how we need it. You all will say, I got it all day. Don't deliver, okay? Or you will start to deliver and then you fall off. And then we're in our heads.
Fall off.
Why we gotta be responsible for that?
Because I'm your partner, you love me, you know that it's difficult. Hold my hand. Be like, hey, listen. When you do this, it turns me off, and I want to stay on. I will lasso the moon.
I can actually receive that.
I can lasso the moon if you sit there and you don't let me fall. Because you see, if you see me falling short, stop me. Say, hey, time out. Listen, sweetie.
But then we have to do it a certain way. It's all these rules with you all. Because when we start to tell y'all that you keep falling off, it's like, you're nagging me. Oh my God, you got to tell me every time. And it's like,
well, yeah, you're right. It is depending on how you deliver it. If you deliver it like you angry.
Well, what if I am? Because I told you this 13 million times.
You can't deliver it like you're angry.
Bruh, not ever? Why?
You can't deliver because you got to understand, you didn't start messing with our masculinity. And we're going to fight you.
Well, you're messing with my femininity when I have to tell you this often. All the time. My needs are not getting met.
I agree. And so, okay, so let's work it out because you're right. It's a unstoppable train and a unmovable force colliding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get you. So let's work this out. Let's help the people out here because something has to give. Because I'm thinking of things like right now, like my wife, like, yo, can you put your shoes in the right spot, you know, and sometimes I forget, and I know that probably frustrates the mess out of her,
Right.
you know. But I also would hate it if she came at me yelling and arguing at me like I'm some kid because I'm gonna argue and yell at you back. You know, like right now she's like, "Hey, sweetie, I really do hate," because that's how my wife goes.
Okay.
Like, I really do hate that your shoes are over here. You know, I'm gonna say, you know what, you're right, and then I'm gonna go move them. I'm gonna think about it and probably do it for a week, and then again I'm gonna find myself, and then she'll tell me again, and I'll move it, and she's not got to the point where she's like,
yeah,
and I don't want her to have to get to that point.
right.
I really do want to be consistent with that. I need to figure out how. And maybe these are important things because this is across the board. Like you'd be amazed that there's one argument about men needing to pick up that behind themselves. It's such an argument
Every woman
across the board. It's almost like universal. White, black, rich, poor, it don't matter.
And we do not understand what's so difficult about it.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. But then we have this is a part of dealing with the solutions. And so I talk to couples all the time about recalibrating.
Yeah.
Every night you should recalibrate, especially if you're in the beginning stages of your relationship. You should recalibrate every night. And that means talk about the things that work, talk about the things that didn't work, and talk about ways to keep improving.
I really like that. Really, every night. Yeah.
Every night. Because what it does, and this is what I notice, I don't do it every night with my partner, but I do it at least twice a week. We recalibrate. Just yesterday, matter of fact. In my studio, I used to have that rolling bench.
Yes.
That was here. It was made from a old mining wagon.
Oh, okay.
They just cut in half, turned into a bench.
Yeah.
Left the wheels on there.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. So I decided to take it home because I wanted to make more studio space, and I put it on my porch. So now I have a covered porch, a front porch, covered porch, and then there's two chairs. The two chairs are there sitting on the porch. Looks really nice. But so we were testing it out yesterday, and we were just rolling, and then we recalibrate. It was like it was a good time. Weather was nice. We were talking about things that we need to do, and then it was just it's almost organic. Right, you know what? This has been working.
Right.
I like when we've been doing this. This is how, these are the moments that we need to keep duplicating.
Right.
Here are the things that I want us to stay away from. How do we continue to do this?
Wow.
And then we put some little things in place. To me, that felt organic. It felt like it was a challenge. It felt like us growing.
Yeah.
And I want to do
and that's intimate.
Do it again. Yes. That's the type of intimacy I think that promotes the intimacy that never gets broken. Correct.
And the intimacy that does not become weaponized later. Yeah, when you are coming back to the table, as you say, recalibrating, when we are addressing things and even affirming each other for the things that we did correctly or that we liked earlier in the day, that is how you have a good night as a man. So, yeah, I think that is an awesome solution. I think, what we end up encountering a lot of times with couples, and I think we find this primarily with men, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that men don't really like to deal with that sort of conflict. It's like they don't like to hear where and how they've disappointed their woman.
Okay, true. True. Men don't like feeling like they failed. But they can quickly get over that if it feels like they can win by listening to where they fail.
Okay.
So if I can pose your failure as an opportunity to make corrections. So think about it in a sporting arena. Let's say I'm a coach and you're doing something that keeps letting your opponent win. And I point it out to you. And you know that if you make that, when you make that correction, it's going to make you a better person and it's going to allow you to win more often. I get excited about those types of corrections.
Okay.
I don't get excited about corrections that don't have a winning factor to it. Like there's no, you're telling me the problem, but you're not seeing where the problem is coming from. Or you're not helping me see where the problem, you're just telling me to figure it out. And that's in a lot of things. It's like, okay, yes, I'm the provider, but don't come to me telling me, hey, the step is wiggly.
Why not?
I mean, okay, maybe that's a bad example because yes, I need to know that the step is wiggly, but don't just come and say that as if I'm a terrible man because that step is wiggly and it hasn't been fixed.
Now that I understand. Now, what if that step had been wiggly for a year and I have told you 77 times?
So then here's how I would approach that.
Okay.
I would say, hon, I know you are a man and I know you want to take care of your home. But you and I both know that we have things that have not been repaired for over a year and you could have repaired them now. What is going on that keeps you from doing your job to repair the steps? Let me help you. Let me understand. Before I just sit there and tell you about how bad you are for letting a year go by for a step, let me ask why. Let me figure out why you're not doing what I know you want to do. I know you want to do. I know you want to fix those stuff. I know. And you'd be amazed. Sometimes it might be as simple as every time I try a project, I end up making it worse. Or, I don't have the skills that I need. Or I have the skills, but I don't have the physicality I used to have. Little things like that.
I hear you and I respect that. But why is it on us, right, as the woman to investigate that and not on the man to just state that on the front end?
Because you do two things when you do that.
Okay.
You acknowledge that they are a man, and they want to be a man. You send that message. I know that you want to be a man. Because he already knows that. Trust me, 9 times out of 10, he knows the problem exists. He's already thinking about it. Even though you may think he's not, he's already thinking about it. So you acknowledge that you see the problem. You acknowledge that you see the problem that you know he wants to fix, but he can't. The second is you're offering him a partnership in problem solving. You're not saying I'll fix it for you, but what you're saying is problem solve with me. Let me help you problem solve. I'll give you a great example because I'm getting older, and so when I was younger, man, I could get into a lot. I'm really good with my hands. I've done everything you could think of, when it comes to taking care of a home.
Okay.
But I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting older, and so there was sometimes every year there's this yearly maintenance. I'll give you a good example. Gutters.
Oh my gosh.
It's
a yearly thing?
Yeah, twice a year. Twice a year.
Okay, I need somebody to come in here and help me out today.
Twice a year. Gutters, yeah, gutters.
Wow.
Yeah, about 2 times a year.
Oh, I'm slacking. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All spring, anytime leaves fall.
Okay.
You need to clean your
Tell me
gutters.
you ain't got a husband without telling me you ain't got a husband.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
So climbing up a ladder. I ain't no spring chicken, man. Climbing up a ladder, trying to go down and get into getting on a roof and trying to get because I got one part of my roof that's really high up, so I have to actually get on the roof instead of using a ladder, or I can buy a special ladder. But either way, that ain't easy for me no more.
Yeah.
So, and when me and my wife were talking about the problem solving, she just said something that totally blew my mind. She was just like, "Man, it's summertime. Man, you get one of these young boys that live in the neighborhood. You could befriend them, and they come and pay them a little something, and they'll help you with the hard work while you use your brain because you already know what you're doing, and so forth." And that's exactly what I did. I got this young boy in the neighborhood who he comes, every time he comes to me, I'm giving him $50. And we spend the day together doing more talking and gift wrapping together. But everything that maybe typically is a little bit slightly hard for me, he'll do it. And then we get so much done. Like, I mean, when we get together, we're so productive.
Yeah.
All the things I want to do, we get it done.
But what I'm trying to understand is, why can't the man state, when I told you that, okay, these gutters are, no, going back to the stair, the stair is wobbly, it needs to be fixed. When I pointed that out to you, and if for you, your thought was, okay, I'm not as young, or I don't have the strength or whatever to do that right away.
Or I need help. It's a two-man job.
So let me respond to my wife and say, you know what, I really don't have it all right now. So, like, how can we fix this problem? Why don't y'all do that on the front end?
Y'all don't accept that. Y'all do not accept, I can't get it done.
Well, yes, we do, as long as it get done. You can't say that I can't get it done and I don't know how it's going to get done. No, you can say I can't get it done, but this is what I can do to get it done.
You say that, but the disappointment that is in the eye of a woman when you say, I can't do that.
I don't understand them women then. At the end of the day, I just want the doggone stair fixed.
You understand them. I'm not trying to say fake, but I'm telling you, you see it. If you as a man, at least I feel, as a man, if you tell a woman, hey, I can't do that, you won't get this.
What? Yeah, yes, you are. Not at my age.
Yes, you are. Like, what kind of man are you that you can't do it? And then you'll say something like this, okay, I'll just go hire someone.
That's not true. That's terrible. In my 30s and my 20s, absolutely, I would be looking at another man, or at a man in his 30s and his 20s, like, bruh, you should know how to do this. You middle-aged? Oh, absolutely not, because I get that. I get it. And then plus, I mean, everything is nuanced. If we're both, working adults and then you have additional side hustles, it may not just be an I can't from a physicality, perspective. It could be an I can't from time management. So this is what I can do. Like, you can't just leave me out here hanging or leave us out here hanging. So you're saying your belief, my belief is that we would not accept that type of response solution from a man on the front end. So that is why we have to manipulate you on the back end.
You don't have to manipulate.
That is manipulation.
Just help me problem solve. Think about it. So let's role play this for a second. Ask me to fix the step. Or tell me the step is broken.
Okay, hey babe, so the step is broken.
Yeah, you're right, the step is broken.
So do you think that you could fix it or what?
I don't know, can you fix it?
No, that's why I'm coming to you.
See what I mean?
You said no, I fix it. So that is why the look. You didn't say no, I can't, but I'm gonna get it done.
Okay, so but I may not in that moment know how to get it done other than how I would have done it when I was younger. Where I think if you got a man and I'm not talking about a man that isn't stuck in a man, you come in and he's like, yeah, I got you. Let me get my tool belt. And he's ready to do it. And because most men want to do it.
They do.
Look, when I got good with this little 17-year-old strong back young man, when we get together on Sundays, and I'm not even talking about a whole day on Sunday. I'm talking about from let's say 8 in the morning to about 1 in the afternoon. I get more done in that one day than I'm probably done in a month by myself.
Right.
Because I want to do it. Like, what was it? Not 4th of July. I don't know, 4th. Memorial Day. Memorial Day, man, I'm telling you, I put up, not only did I straighten my yard, but I put up a volleyball net, I put up a water slide.
You put it up and he put it up.
I decorated the outside.
You directed.
I directed. I moved plants, but I had someone that I don't have because I got a house full of women. I don't have no boys. So I have a house full of women, and they dainty. My daughter picks stuff up like this.
Right. Right, couldn't chip a nail.
No, ain't chipping on that. So I mean, it's different. All I'm saying, women, is if you come to your partner when you see he's having a problem, and then you problem solve with them. Hey, hon, I noticed that you have a hard time keeping your clothes off the floor. Even when I tell you, and I know you love me too much to just do it on purpose. I know you're not trying to do it on purpose. So let's talk about why it's happening and what we can do to ensure that it doesn't happen.
I hear you.
You may say that's too much, but I guarantee you may find a solution that works. You may find something that really works. That just like you like, hey, think about it.
Right.
Something that just really works. Maybe get a shoecase or dedicate a whole room to his shoes or a little section. You may think outside of the box that gives him, because he may be mad that you got 90% of the closet. Right. Yeah, my shoes are on the floor because you got a whole shoe on. Right. He may be upset that you get 90% of the closet. We got a whole walk-in closet. And 90% of it, I get the little rack. So you get the little. So you got to be willing to problem solve.
And I get that, and I hear you, and I think it's a really good approach. But what I also hear when it comes to the intimacy, when it comes to the weaponizing of the sex, is that we women control it all.
Yeah, and that's so unfair.
It's so unfair.
Y'all have so much control in that area, and I don't even know why. I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
Man, I had a partner that flipped it on his head. So like with every man, his wife was, there was always a reason. I got a headache.
Yeah.
Not tonight. I'm tired. I work with the kids. I don't feel like it. Leave me alone. You always bothering me. Why you always touching on me? Leave me alone. Just there was so many that he got tired of it. And he quietly stopped pursuing her. So it wasn't like he didn't stop, loving her. Yeah. He just stopped the pursuit of or asking for sex. So the first month, wife didn't even notice. She was just going about her day. Matter of fact, she was getting to a point where she was acting like happier. Yeah. Because he ain't put no pressure on her for a whole month. And he's just sitting back and he's not changing his routine. He's being helpful. He's being polite. He ain't sending no little snark comments. He's not even talking about, you ain't sex with me or whatever. So starting month 2, she's throwing those normal hints. Like, yeah, it's been a while. If you ask, I will. Not saying it like that, but giving those hints like, if you want it, all you gotta do is ask. Right. And he pursued it. He was still loving, still caring, still attentive, gave her hugs in the morning, kisses at night, but he didn't do anything sexual, nothing, no holding, no grabbing, no touching booty, none of that stuff. Month 3, she's getting curious. So she's like, is everything okay? Right. How you feeling? You know, she didn't get that point yet.
Well, she was
she's
thinking
like, with 3 months, she's like, how you feeling? You know, we haven't had fun. You want to go on a date?
Yeah.
You know, she's like really sending the signals like something's wrong here. Tell me what's going on. He didn't say anything. Quietly, he says, "No, I'm good, man. I'm having the best time of my life." Now, what he noticed during this time, she would start getting closer to him. So, and where she wouldn't, you know, let him cuddle with her because she would be on her side, far end of the bed, he'd be on his. Now she's like in the middle of the bed. She's holding his hand longer. She's hugging him harder. He noticed that she's having longer conversations. She's saving some energy in the afternoon for him. She's, you know, kicking it with him. And he's like, man, I'm noting that she is turning her attention towards me. The longer I go. So month 4 comes in, and now she's worried.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, we got to talk. You know, basically, I've said every signal possible, and you ain't jumped from none of them. You know, what's wrong with me? And it was to the point he had to tell her what he was doing.
Yeah.
So he goes, he says, listen, honey, I have a problem. He said, my problem is I don't want to feel like I'm having intimacy with me as a chore. You know what he said to him? And he says, it has been feeling that way. And I've just gotten to a point, I'd rather just love you and not have sex with you. If every time I do, it ends up like this. She was like, well, it's not like this every time. He said, it's not. If we go long enough, you do get excited. But as soon as it's over, you go right back to that protective mode. You put that shield back on. So, yeah, you may want it right now, but as soon as you get it, you're going to go right back to that protective mode. And it plays with my heart. It plays with my heart. I feel like I now have you, and we can be free with each other. But as soon as I do, you snatch the rib from under me, and then you hurt me, you stab me in the heart again by telling me making me feel like this is all I want. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want you just for sex. I love having sex with you, but I don't want you for just sex. I'm okay with just having the relationship we've been having. And she was begging her, well, it's okay. I understand. You know, it's not like that. He said, well, I'm not convinced. So month 5 comes in.
I'm impressed.
Right. Month 5 comes in, and he's good. He's like, yo, I'm good. Like, I want what I have here. As long as she, you know, is okay and don't cheat. Because then you start wondering, I'm going to tell you something. Women, this is the craziness about this thing. Women, maybe it's attention. Women like attention. But that attention sometimes comes with sex.
Yeah.
Because here's the problem. I've talked to hundreds of couples, okay? And I see this pattern that a man will get good with his life. Like, you no longer can use sex as a weapon. You know, whether I'm getting it or not getting it, I'm not bothered by whether or not you're giving it to me. Those women are highest level women that cheat. In my opinion, because when I see a man is okay, and he's comfortable, and he ain't talking about why you ain't giving me none, I always turn to the woman because I'm like, yeah, who you sleeping with? Who you sleeping with? 9 times out of 10, they're cheating.
I agree with that, but just not for the reason. I think those women who do cheat in that circumstance are the women who view sex and, like we said, their beauty, their body as their currency. They know that that's all they have to offer.
When your currency don't spit.
Imagine that never happens.
Imagine going to it does. Imagine going to Mexico and getting some pesos. And you bring back a suitcase full of pesos,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come here to the United States and you try to take that to the store and spend it.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, that currency don't spend here."
I mean, I hear you.
You gonna
As
find
a
some.
woman, that never happens. There is always a man willing to sleep with you.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
For sure.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. It never happens.
What if it's not your husband though?
I agree with that, but when we were talking about those are the women who think that they just have that they subscribe to sexuality, their bodies as their currency. It's not just for their husband.
I think it falls on everyone, even the woman that uses sex as a weapon. If you use sex as a weapon, but your weapon is no longer ineffective, and your partner maintains control,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, you're not going to control me with your body. I can take it or leave it. I can go another 2 years without it. Then and I'm just speculating, but then I think what happens is that you have to double check your currency is still good, and you may go out in the streets to see if your currency is still good.
And that's what I'm saying. So we will cheat. We will, because we believe that is our only currency, and that is a way that we use to control.
So going back to the story of my man, he was like, as long as if I could ensure that she didn't get curious and go out and cheat,
Mm-hmm.
I could stay here forever. That's where he was at. Like, he was getting good. He says, I love the intimacy, the non-physical intimacy that I'm getting. I love that her attention is on me. She's paying attention to small details.
Mm-hmm.
We're having dope conversations. And he was like, during this time, I didn't have any bitterness. I'm still telling her I love her. I still telling her she's dope. I'm still telling her, like, we're spending more time together. He's like, I'm getting more than I ever have before. I don't ever want to get to that point again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like my fire. And so she's panicking because he's told her why he's doing it. And she's panicking and he's serious. He's like, I don't want to ever go back there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ever go back to getting happy, having sex with you, and then the next day feeling like I'm a criminal.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was like, I don't ever want to go back there. So you can't even pay me to go back. He's like, I'm good. Just don't cheat on me. He was like, you can have everything. You can have access to my money. I'll take care of you. All I ask you is just don't cheat on me.
So what happened?
Month 6.
Okay.
So month 6 comes, and he was like, he's never seen his woman as humble as she was. She came to him and she was like, I've been doing some serious soul searching, and I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. She was like, I was wrong for putting you in the position that I put you in. And, he heard her out, and she was like, what would it take for us to be able to have full access, not just the emotional, but the physical, because I want to be physical. I like being physical with you. He says, I would need to be reassured you would never reject me again. Like, I can never be rejected. He said, and he told me, he's like, I understand. I know you enough to know when and how.
Okay.
So you're going to have to trust that I'm not going to put you in a position that's going to make you uncomfortable. I will check the temperature of the room. But if I ask, you can never reject me. And he's like, until you can do that, I can never go back there. Around month 7, she was like, yo, I can do that.
Okay.
And as far as I could tell, that
things
the
have been
intimacy has been pretty good.
Good with them, yeah.
But he had to have that conversation.
He had to go down there, yeah.
He had to have that conversation. He had to actually put his money. Like, listen, hold on. Let me show you what you're doing. Because it ain't about me being some whoremonger wanting to ravish your body, because I can go do that. I can go get a bunch of women to do that.
Yeah.
It is about me being able to feel free to love you, and you withholding that from me.
And I think that speaks to something we said earlier about our maybe indoctrinations when it comes to sex, what sex is. And this is both men and women, our first introductions to it and how that stays with us. But we really don't use sex in the way that it is actually for.
Right.
And so when we encounter, this is both men and women, encounter a partner who is stepping into trying to use sex, yes, for pleasure, but then also for that intimacy, for that freedom, for, whatever else it's supposed to be. But if I, as the partner, am like, sex is just for pleasure, and then when I'm not feeling you or you've hurt my feelings or whatever, we're in a situation I don't want to do, well, now we're at a standstill. So we gotta figure that out. Yeah.
And I think that comes from going back to my original statement is we have to recalibrate certain things. We have to be in tune with each other. We have to be able to communicate and share our feelings honestly with each other about it. And there has to be some give and take.
Yeah.
And we have to correct misunderstand, because I don't know any woman that would admit to, I think I've been conditioned to only see sex as a value, my values. Like, you ain't gonna go around admitting
I would
that.
admit that. I mean, just the truth. But yeah.
But most women will say, I value you, should value
right,
mine,
shut up.
all that stuff. But when they lead, they lead with their body. You can't even find clothes that aren't made.
Right. That's real.
Let someone come in with some movie or something like that.
Yes, that is real.
Like it was like, you better show some legs,
right, something.
I mean, think about the stuff women put themselves through, like BBLs.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yes. Yes.
But I can't put it all on y'all. But we're part of the problem because we spend money on it. Like I heard, like, I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't even know how to.
Right.
But I've seen some TikToks.
Okay.
From people who have OnlyFans, and the numbers that they're talking about. I'm talking about, like,
bruh,
I made $500,000 in 3 minutes.
I thought about starting one because of the numbers.
Yeah. And all I do is show my feet.
What? Where I sign up?
What?
Yes.
I said, are you serious? $500,000.
Word.
All I do is show my feet.
Word.
3 months.
Yes.
We make it ridiculous. We make it ridiculous. It's like, man, think about all the freebies that we're getting because they look good. I mean, we make it almost darn near impossible for them to.
You do, but I think, and I wish the message that women actually got from that is the power that we possess.
Yeah.
I wish we really understood that when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to, our sex. It's like that is the absolute most powerful tool that any human being has. And it is with us. So we got to use that wisely.
For sure, because you can sustain life.
Right.
You can sustain life. You have the ability to do something that is amazing.
It is, but
you can sustain life.
Superficial level, though, like you're saying, people will pay to look at your toes, look at your feet. Like, men, you love curves, you love soft, you love breasts, you love the things that we come with. Just how the Most High made us, that you're willing to pay.
Yes.
For that's power.
Yes, and so, man, there's so many angles I want to come at this. So, but let's go spiritual for a second. What was God thinking when He made woman? What was the plan? What was the plan with the unity of marriage? Like, what was the plan? Was it just to procreate? Was it just to have kids? Because you could have made that process a whole lot easier and not attractive.
Yeah.
I guess you need to be attractive.
If you know how He made y'all. So He said, yes, they're going to have to be attractive. Yes.
But man, like, Well, can we not just get pregnant by just tapping hands?
Right. Right. What is this?
Good job. Why we gotta put something that powerful in the mix?
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, that's
Can we just not have had a conversation?
Nope.
Man, so I mean, what was God's plan? What is God's plan for marriage? Is it for us to be with just one person?
Don't get me started on that, because you're not gonna like what I gotta say.
Oh, like I know this probably means
Yeah.
I'm open that door.
You're not going to.
There's a lot of biblical people who had multiple wives.
Exactly.
Had multiple wives.
Exactly.
So I don't know if we want to open that.
Yeah, not right now. Maybe in another conversation. Yeah.
Let's not open that door. But I need some rhyme or reason. Because monogamy is probably the toughest thing any human being has to go through.
I don't think it's any. I think it's just men.
And I think it's tough for women too. I think it is. I think it's
tough, not as tough.
Maybe not as tough, but yeah, I agree. It's not as tough. And I think the reason it's not as tough is because there's not enough men to go around.
Okay, that's a thought, and that is real.
Yeah, it's like, 1 to 7?
Right.
There's one man for every seven
women, yep.
So, there's not enough men to go around. So, you can't share. It's hard to.
So then with that, right? With that.
It's hard.
Would it not make sense to have polygamy?
See, you keep going to that door.
Okay.
You keep going to that door. Oh man, that's probably a question we just gonna have to ask God.
Right.
We gonna have to
only he can answer that.
Yeah, only he can answer.
Why did you make them look like this, God? Why are they so tempting to us? Yeah. But is that even God, or is that just our indoctrinations? Is that conditioning? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it?
I don't know. So who would have? I mean, being that men was in charge, majority of history, women just started getting rights. It would have had to been a man to come up with that concept.
To determine
that it was supposed to be, so what man would have done that?
Yeah.
What man would have been like, yo, we need to just have monogamy and get rid of it.
You're talking about that. Okay, yeah. I was asking about like just the attraction, like man's attraction to a woman. Like, why did the Most High make a woman? Why did he make this helpmate and make this helpmate look like this? Like for you all. Like, is that just conditioning?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna ask
you. That is a great question. Is it nurture?
Nature and nurture. Yes. Because this is going to sound real crazy, right? But when I look across the globe and I look at a lot of the other nationalities who are married, when I say the women look so basic,
yeah,
and they fully covered, they ain't,
Sorry for people.
It just is what it is. But I think particularly us in the West,
yeah,
we put so much into how we look, and so if I don't believe that was the actual design, and I think
that I know wasn't. The Bible speaks a lot on harlotry.
That's the word.
Doing a harlot, painting your face, like holding it. Like, I don't think it was ever intended to sell sex.
Although it's the oldest profession.
It is the oldest profession in the world. But I don't think from a biblical point of view, God talks so much about, be careful of those people who lead with that, because they are traps.
Right.
It is a trap. You're headed towards a trap. You foolish man.
Right.
I mean, sex has toppled governments.
Absolutely.
Toppled governments. It has caused wars. It has made people lose their religion.
And that's us. That's y'all fighting over us. It's never been us fighting over y'all that's created that.
since the apple. I mean, we fought God.
Real talk. Real talk.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because Adam was fully aware of what he was doing. He was like, I know what this is, but God. You mean I gotta lose this?
Yeah, right there.
Give me that.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what that is. I don't know what that instinct is. Once again, that is a reason why I think women should reason with their man. Because you got to understand, you have such a motivating factor about yourself that anything that man is going through, if you reason with him, you can help him get through it.
Right. And then us reasoning with you all and helping you all get through whatever, it actually does in turn help us.
Right.
Too. So yeah, I can see that.
Let's say, I just had this silly thought, but imagine Adam and Eve is in front of the tree of good and evil, and the serpent's there, spitting his language, right? And let's say Adam's convinced, like, you know what, you're right. Maybe I should be like God. And he goes to reach out, and Eve says, honey, now you know what God said. We're not going to do that because I'm not going to eat up. So if you do that, you're going by yourself. I bet you Adam Taylor would have been like, sorry, serpent. Now, if it was in reverse, let's say the serpent was talking to Eve and convinced her, and she's reaching out, and Adam like, honey, God said not to do that. I'm not going to do it. What's the likelihood of Eve saying, well, you ain't going to do it, but I'm going to do it?
No, 9 times out of 10, yeah.
Like, you don't got to.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I don't know why I said that was a silly thought.
I don't think it was. Shooting as you're saying, there's a really good thought that I wanted to end on, but I done forgot it now, but go ahead.
Yeah, to really kind of hone in on this conversation, I think the bigger issue with intimacy is the trauma that sex has been.
It's a great word.
Been used to cause trauma in women's lives and men. Sex has caused trauma in women's lives and men's lives, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. So if you're not healed from the trauma that sex has been used as in our society and you get married, your marriage is doomed.
Right. Agree.
It is in trouble off the rip. I think couples need to spend time recalibrating. I love that word. Like correcting their view before you. Matter of fact, marriage counseling, premarital counseling. I don't think they spend enough time. Like they do a lot about working together and how finances are going to be, and they do talk about intimacy, but I don't think they do any correction about the damage sex has caused in our society. Like you go with these expectations. Like any person who's looked at porn has been damaged.
Yeah. And that's a lot of little boys. First encounter.
Anyone who's looked at porn has been damaged because there's no wife. And there's a few, I'm sure. But the majority of wives are not going to perform at that level on a regular basis. Just not going to happen. It's not realistic to even think it. So I think we've been traumatized by sex and don't even know it because it feels good. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's not traumatic.
Right.
Just because it feels good doesn't mean it's not traumatic. And I think we've been traumatized by sex to the point that we are damaged, and then we try to get into a relationship as if we're healthy and healed. We got to heal first. Is my theory on this problem of sex as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gonna call this session today.
I like that.
Sex
And then even, with women, they're our healing. There are a lot of women who have been accosted, have been molested, even so far as, to be raped, and they haven't maybe expressed that to their partners.
Yeah.
But sex does take them someplace emotionally, mentally, as a result of that trauma that they don't share, so they just have my partner wanting to have sex, but yeah, so you're right, that healing,
and they try to fight. They try to fight through it,
right?
But then it never goes away,
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that this is what you're looking for,
right?
So we got it. Yeah, we got it. We need to make young couples, young people who are dating. You really need to make sure your partner and yourself have a healthy thought process about intimacy and sex before you get married, before you even engage in sexual action. You need to make sure you have a healthy understanding.
They don't.
Man, it seems innocent. It
seems
fun.
Right.
But let me just remind you, it has toppled governments.
Correct.
Like what seems okay and careless and carefree and simple has toppled governments. It has brought down the strongest.
It sure has.
I mean, if Samson wasn't a warning.
Okay, yeah.
The strongest of men have been brought down by that. So, don't come at it all carelessly.
Right.
It is powerful and you need to respect it. I used to drive motorcycles, and the one thing they say, if you don't have respect for that machine, you're going to go down. You're going to learn. Because all it takes is one time to go down one time. Matter of fact, you ain't even a real rider unless you've been down one time. You can't respect it until you feel the pain of it. But those who have, they know, they respect that machine.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I'm gonna end on that. I think we just need to communicate. We need to recalibrate. We need to be on the same page. We need to be healthy when it comes to our understanding of intimacy. And if your understanding comes from social media, you've been misled.
Right. And that's true.
You've been misled. Trust me. So, last word. What do you think?
Well, I don't have a thought necessarily, but I do have a question for you for the healing, and maybe not so much the healing. I'll wait for that one. How could a young person, a person, period, start to reframe sex?
Okay, so I'm gonna look at this how I look at scary movies.
Okay.
So if I'm watching a scary movie, well, nowadays they make the mugs really real.
Yeah, I'm full with them.
I don't know if you saw the one, but they make them realistic, like it really happened in real life. But growing up, most horror movies were so unrealistic. Whatever happened, that at the end of it, you can like, okay, it's just a movie. Like that's just a movie. And the reason I say that is a lot of things that you've been told or the things that you've seen, you kind of have to reframe. You gotta like, okay, that's TV.
Okay.
Or that's a commercial. Or that, that isn't, realistic, or that isn't sustainable. There's some things you may see that aren't sustainable. You gotta reattach yourself to reality. Because we could be so far in irrational thought, or so far in La La Land, or make-believe world, or creative world, that we don't realize that the rational world is right there, and it doesn't make sense. It does not pass the smell test. You wouldn't even want someone like that, the way you imagine what you see. You get what I'm saying? So I think the first thing is understanding what's real and what isn't. What's Hollywood, what's put on versus what is sustainable in long term. I think you need to have a firm foundation of what stability is.
And where would they get that from? The stability side. Because there's so much of the fake. There's so much of the hoopla.
It is. It overwhelming amount of fake. Man, that's such a good question. It's so different nowadays. Of course, I want to say the word, but the Bible or spiritual things like that. But even in there, there's some unrealistic. The thought process, like it's not based in the reality. Now, I think really it's going to come from a collection of being curious.
Okay.
You got to ask questions. You can't be afraid to ask questions. Like if I was dating now and a woman came to me, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, a woman came to me and we're dating, and every time we go out, she's dressed in this tight, nice, sweet thing, and she got makeup on her her body is just perfect all the time.
Right.
I need to ask her, like, is this natural for you? If it took you 4 hours to get ready, I have to ask myself, can that be sustainable? Is she going to do that 4-hour routine when we're together every day, all day? As much as, and I know a lot of women spend a lot of time every day, but those are single women.
Right.
I don't know any married woman who is spending 4 hours to get ready for their husband.
Right.
If they're spending 4 hours, it is not for their husband.
Well, so then connect that to sex. What question or what the sustainability? What are you looking for? Sustainability.
So sustainability is, I need to know who you are and your expectations for intimacy when you're not trying to woo me. You're not trying to get my attention. I need to know what your expectations are at your root, at your core.
Okay.
And you need to know mine. You need to know what I'm really looking for when it comes to intimacy. Is it intimacy or is it validation? Sometimes they can look alike.
Sure can.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I may use sex as validation that you're still good with me, when that boy could do just as good.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So, man, it's such a complicated question.
Yeah.
And answer. That's why I think that so many people are having the problem. Is because it's so complicated. Man, we could spend a whole another hour on that.
Okay.
But gotta come back to me. I think for now, I think you have to stay in reality. You have to ask yourself, is this a act? Is this a put on? Am I just trying to experience what I've seen on TV? Or is this genuinely what I expect?
Right.
And I know nowadays some young people, they've seen it so much that that's what they're expecting.
Yeah.
They get mad if you don't, because that's what they're expecting. But they learn real quickly that it ain't healthy, and it comes with a lot of pain. Comes with a lot of pain. And so, yeah, if you local, Touch of Peace Counseling, you can come and we can sit down and have that conversation one-on-one.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good deal.